I think sort of the traditional image of the avant-garde is this idea of an angry young man rebelling against the establishment. That somehow radicality is always associated with something negative, like who you are against rather than what you are for. And I think rather than revolution, this idea of rebelling, we are much more interested in the idea of evolution, the idea that ideas gradually sort of evolve, and that you don't have to say no to all these constraints that you have in society, but actually by saying yes to everybody, by pleasing everybody, we can actually turn pleasing into a radical agenda. Because if you have to, please the neighbors and the politicians and the investors and all the consultants and the contractors, you have to find this sort of impossible somersault that doesn't step on anybody's toes. And quite often, you come up with like more interesting and more sort of demanding schemes than if you would just like say no to everything and do exactly what you wanted. So we're trying to break away from this idea of, screw everybody else. This is what we want. To actually turn like listening and accommodation and pleasing into a radical agenda. I haven't been too good. I saw the lecture on the hyperpower, where there was a quite and really relevant issue for the Danish condition right now, that you cannot become a hyperpower, not that Denmark will ever become one, but without actually being able to attract all the different brains from other cultures. So if your nation is too ethnically defined, you will resist all the brilliant minds that necessarily are born from another ethnicity. So if you really want to become a happening place, you need to be open to embrace and attract all these different cultures into the same place. And that's something that Denmark could definitely learn from right now. Right now we just won the competition for the Danish Pavilion at the Shanghai World Expo in 2010. And our main idea was to rather than having this sort of state propaganda, like a lot of words and stuff in paper mache, to give the real experience. So one thing is like Shanghai is having this incredible development. 20 years ago, everybody was like going on bicycles. Now everybody's going by car. The bicycle has almost become forbidden. And in the same time, Denmark, a third of all commuters go by bicycle. And in Copenhagen, we have a city bike. So when you go to the city, you can get a free bicycle. So our pavilion is conceived as a piece of bicycle lane with 1,500 city bikes. So when you go to the pavilion, to the expo, you go to Denmark, you get your free bicycle, and then you move on that to all the other pavilions. And then the water in the Copenhagen harbor has become so clean that you can swim in it. So we're going to sail 500,000 liters of Copenhagen harbor water to Shanghai. So there's a pool with the Copenhagen harbor in the middle, where people who want to, they can get a pair of red and white swim shorts and dive in and not hear about it, but really feel how clean it is. And in the middle of this port, we're going to move the Little Mermaid from the port of Copenhagen to Shanghai for 6 months, like the actual Little Mermaid. And in her absence, we invited Ai Weiwei, the Chinese artist, to reinterpret the Little Mermaid in Copenhagen. It's also because like right now it's mostly Chinese and even Americans who look at the mermaid in Copenhagen. So for 6 months, it's actually going to be interesting for the Danes to see what these Chinese artists came up with while the mermaid is touring in China.